I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Bowen.
Present.
I will tell you that Mr. Hill said he would not be here tonight, so he's absent. Norma Poli Mohammed.
Present.
Chairperson London.
Here.
And Don Williams called me and told me that he would not be here tonight, could not be here. William Pertzburn.
Here.
And Commission Member Joseph Marsh.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Approval of minutes, and I understand we're having technical difficulties with the audio recording, and we've been given instructions on how to properly speak into the microphone, as well as anyone that has comments or during call to order. So duly noted, and hopefully you can get that audio. Old business, we don't have any old business, so let's just go on to new business. Cool PZ 15-0702 CUP, a conditional use permit request submitted by James Siverson on behalf of the Church of Nazarene of Coolidge for facility expansion, including playground, grass fields, and multi-purpose building at 1101 West Coolidge Avenue, also known as APN 204-10-003B, located on Coolidge Avenue between 9th Street and Kenworthy Road.
And thank you, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, this is a conditional use permit request by the Church of the Nazarene for their church located between Kenworthy Drive and 9th Street, there on the south side of Coolidge Avenue. The church has been there some time. This property is zoned, or was zoned, agricultural in 2009 when the city adopted the new city zoning map. Churches are a permitted use in the agricultural zoning district. As we researched this church site, we couldn't really find where it ever historically had a conditional use permit granted to it, but it's been there for a number of years, so we really look at it as a legal non-conforming use if we can't find a history of a conditional use permit. But when they come in with a proposal like this to do facilities expansion, to increase outdoor activity play areas and maybe the potential for a future multi-purpose building, then they're expanding the use of the property. And through that process, we have requested that they get a conditional use permit, and that's why we're here tonight. Through that process, we send notification out to property owners in the vicinity of the church to allow them an opportunity to call our department and ask questions about the proposed use. Tonight, as we mentioned, the applicant, the Church of the Nazarene, wants to expand the usage of their site by adding additional parking, multi-purpose buildings, multi-purpose grass fields, play areas, some lighting, covered walkways, those types of activities, which are better illustrated in your packet. They did a very nice job, I think, kind of showing how they would intend to use the balance of the very large property that they own. The church and the parking lot sit up there closer to Coolidge Avenue, but there's still a very large piece of unused property that they own to the rear where they would like to consider these future improvements. As you consider a conditional use permit, or as we considered it, we primarily were concerned about dust control, noise levels, outdoor lighting, and really the improvements to the site once they come in for the building permits. These issues really are the basis on how we really established some of the conditions that we're recommending for your review tonight. When the Commission evaluates conditional use permits, you typically have to find that the site for the proposed use is adequate in size to accommodate the use and all the yards, spaces, parking, loading, landscaping, and all that's adequate to properly relate the use with the land and the uses in the vicinity. We also have to find that the site for the proposed use relates to the streets that are adequate in width and pavement type to carry the quantity and kind of traffic generated by the proposed use. Another finding that you have to look at is that the proposed use will have no adverse impact upon the abutting property. And the fourth finding that you typically would look at is the proposed use is in conformance with the general plan. The city staff reviewed these findings, and we feel that the site is adequate in size to accommodate the use, that it does relate closely to an arterial roadway, Coolidge Avenue, which is acceptable in size to accommodate the quantity and kind of traffic that would be generated from this use. We believe that the proposed use will have no adverse impact on the abutting properties, providing that they live with the standards or the conditions that we're recommending tonight for your review, and that the use is in conformance with the general plan. Again, churches are permitted use in residential areas with a conditional use permit. This is a residential area, and we believe that the church is a valuable component of the neighborhood, and in many neighborhoods, churches that's where they're typically found. And our recommendation tonight is that the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit for the church expansion on parcel number 204-10-003B, located at 1101 West Coolidge Avenue in Coolidge, subject to the following conditions. Number one, outdoor games and activities that may occur on the site shall cease by 10 p.m. Number two, all driveways and parking areas must be paved. That's in accordance with our city code requirements. Number three, upon permitting of any multi-use building, the site shall be brought into compliance with the city's current landscaping code, and a 5-foot wide sidewalk shall be constructed along Coolidge Avenue. Number four, outdoor lighting shall be screened from adjacent residential backyards along the boundary of the site. When I say screening, we typically our city lighting code requires the light to be shielded so that it is not sending light upward into the dark sky. That's part of a dark sky ordinance. But in addition to that, what we don't want are neighbors immediately, especially immediately to the west of this site, looking up at the light fixtures and having it glare into their windows at night. So there are methods that they can use to screen those light fixtures or direct them away from these residential properties, and they will be retaining a specialist that can design and put the light fixtures in that way. That's just a condition that we want them to meet. We also, typically when you look at a conditional use permit, there's general conditions that apply to every conditional use permit, and those are listed in your staff report as number 1 through 5. Again, the right to use the use and occupancy permit shall be contingent upon the fulfillment of all the general and special conditions imposed by the conditional use permit. Number 2, that all the special conditions shall constitute restrictions running with the land, their successors or assigns. Number 3, that all conditions specifically stated under any conditional use shall apply and be adhered to by the owner of the land, his successors or assigns. Number 4, that all the special conditions shall be consented to in writing by the applicant. And number 5, that this resolution granting the application, together with all consent forms, shall be recorded by the Pinal County Recorder. And as we've done in the past, we do have a resolution for this conditional use permit that would be signed by the city attorney, the applicant, and the chairperson on the Planning and Zoning Commission. This basically is recorded. This use runs with the property, and it lists the conditions that I've outlined in the staff report for you this evening. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I will say that I did receive one phone call on this from an adjacent property owner by the name of Joanne Warnes. Joanne Warnes and Clarence Warnes are winter visitors. They own lot 30, which is kind of on the southwest corner of this property. There on your site plan, you'll see the proposed light fixture there in the furthest southwest location, and they have the house immediately across the wall from that light fixture. Their biggest concern is that they really didn't want that light shining in their backyard or through their bedroom window. And I assured them that with our conditions that we would screen that light fixture so that they wouldn't be looking up directly at a incandescent or a fluorescent or other type of bulb, that it would be shielded. And other than that, they didn't have any concerns. And I didn't receive any other phone calls. Tim, did you have any other? So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Director Miller. Now, I see you've got the recommendations here. It's down as recommendations. Did everybody agree to these recommendations?
I presented those to the applicant, and they understand that these recommendations are standard, and they're okay with that. Keep in mind that the recommendation for the landscaping and the sidewalk won't come right away. That is only when they come in for the building permit to do the multi-purpose building, and I don't know that they can speak more of that about the planned schedule for that. I think their initial interest is getting some of these outdoor activities done. But when they come in for the multi-purpose building, that's when that code would, that provision would kick in.
Gentlemen, if you'll state your name and your residence, please, and then speak into the microphone, please.
Sure. My name is Jimmy Severson, and I live in Florence, Arizona.
Hello, and I'm Joel Altamirano, and I live in Casa Grande, Arizona.
Thank you.
So to answer your question, we have the recommendations. We fully agree that they are reasonable and they would be met. As was stated, this is a staged plan. The church is collecting money for it. So the first phase of that would obviously be to, not obviously, but it would be to put in the field. As additional monies are collected, we would then put in the multi-purpose building and the front sidewalk. But it is a staged plan, a staged evolution to grow that out. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
So let's walk through this really quick. So the first thing you're going to do once money is collected, you're going to do the multi-purpose building. Is that correct?
No.
First stage? Or the field is first stage,
The
sorry.
field is first stage.
So,
And then
okay.
pretty much at the same time, we'll be expanding cement off of the back church and putting in cement, about a 60 by 70 slab of cement towards the west side of the back lot, which you can see that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That'll be the first phase, and that'll be the first things we tackle.
Okay.
The second stage would be the playground area.
Okay.
So we will purchase a playground. We will put in the covered facilities to cover that. And then the final stage would be to finalize and put forth the multi-purpose building,
Yes.
which is, you can see the multi-purpose building is in the gray on the left side of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
So, and that is the intent. As the picture depicts, we had not had a fully vetted or designed light plan by a professional light installer. So these light fixtures may change based on the best design, the best coverage, and to ensure that we don't infringe with the rights of the adjacent properties.
Madam Chairwoman.
Does
Yes,
that answer
sir.
your question?
Yes, thank you.
In conjunction with building the building, I apologize, we would be putting in the parking lot and the asphalt surrounding the area, so there would be a drive-through and people could park around that area.
Are you currently using that area as a parking lot? It appears that on the maps that is currently being driven on or parked on. Is that
That is
That's not correct, no. We are not, the back lot is not being used at the moment.
okay?
There are, occasionally, it is drug, so there are probably tractor tracks in there.
Okay. And you say the time frame for the parking lot paving will probably be the last thing that you do once you've accomplished everything else on the property,
It would be in conjunction
Junction with the building.
with the building. So.
which is the
current-
last thing you're going to do on the property?
Yes.
Correct,
absolutely.
yes, yes.
But currently, everybody parks in the front. There's literally no access to the back, and no parking is currently done out there. So there are currently no vehicles. We do use it as a field, full of weeds at times, but a field for kids to go play, because that's the only area for them to go play in. So it is currently used as a play area, but it's dusty and there's weeds and there's ants, which we would much rather have people in the back as opposed to kids in the front playing in the parking lot. And currently, there's really no way for vehicles to get back there unless you drive down the adjacent road. There is a irrigation ditch that cuts it off that has been filled in. So there is a way to get back there, but it's really not for vehicles. It's too rough. So, 4x4s and tractors can get that back there relatively easy. I wouldn't want to take my car back there.
In this conditional use permit, will they be allowed to use this for parking prior to paving?
I don't believe there'll be any need for them to use parking behind the existing parking lot.
That wasn't my question.
Will they be able to use it?
Will they be allowed to use it, or will that be something they're not allowed to do?
Yeah, I
until
don't, yeah,
parking
I think,
is paved?
yeah, it shouldn't be used for parking unless it's paved, because that'll just generate dust problems.
Tremendous
So-
amount of dust problems, especially for the neighbors
Yeah.
to the west.
But you know, but again, they're not building additional floor area, so the front parking area is sufficient to handle the floor area for the church that's there, that was designed for. But we, you know, I guess you can, for the record, say you won't use the back area.
We will
We would
not.
not, no.
Yeah.
The idea is to get the kids off of the front parking lot.
Oh, and I'm all for that. I'm just worried about the dust the
And
cars
I
create.
get that, and I understand that. We will not be using the back lot for parking until the building comes in.
So is it currently completely fenced or somehow, I know there's that drainage ditch.
Yes,
But-
on both sides, on the east and the west side of the building, there is a fence that we have locked or closed
Locked
at all
off?
times.
Okay.
It's a gate,
It's a gate, yeah.
it's not this high.
It rolls open.
And there's a fence on the south side as well, is there not?
On the
Against the
far
other-
south side of the campus?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Between us and Joe Simpson's property?
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Mhm.
So you're fenced completely on the west and on the south, and partially on the east side.
Partially, yes, correct.
Madam Chair, I would like to compliment them on their site plan. I mean, they provide a lot of detailed information on here about setbacks and dimensions, and you can see it's a very large property when you're looking at these play areas from the back property line. You're looking at, you know, some very large setback areas.
I have a question on the time frame. What,
Yes.
is this a 20-year plan? Is it a 1-year plan? Is
for
it
the-
until we get the money plan? What is
Well,
it?
ultimately, the ladder's going to be how it's going to be driven. But we do have some funds raised to do the field and the concrete off the back lot, off of the back of the church now, if once we get the approval of the permit. The building, it's kind of as we get the money. And so we're hoping sooner than later, but we can't dictate when and how that's going to happen.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just one other piece of information I might share. I did attend this church one time, the first Sunday of the year, when Jimmy Dell was there to do his little. He preaches there, and Jimmy Dell is a remarkable person. He's a great rockabilly artist and a preacher, and this was a really great place to go to see him perform.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Just
Is
a
there
piece of-
anyone else in the
piece of history.
audience that would like to make a comment, share?
I'm with them.
You're with them? Oh, okay. Well, very good. Well, thank you for your presentation. I don't think we have any more questions, do we? Good.
Thank you.
A motion?
Madam Chair, the motion should be to, for the conditional, for the resolution, conditional use permit resolution
Okay.
15-02.
All right, so if you make the motion, please read it as stated on the resolution sheet.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve Cool PZ-15-07-02 CUP conditional use permit request submitted by James Severinsen on behalf of the Church of the Nazarene of Coolidge for the facility expansion, including playground, grass fields, multipurpose buildings at 1101 West Coolidge Avenue, also known as APN 204-10-003B.
And then maybe just say, and the attached resolution number, Cool PZ 15-02.
And the attached resolution number, Cool PZ-1502.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, reports from the chairman and growth management director. I don't have any reports, just that we need to talk into the microphone. a little better?
Yeah, please do that. I think it really is, it will help with the recording. You know, last time we had some of the audience members that didn't participate like they should be going up to the microphone, and sometimes that's hard, giving mobility issues or concerns, but it will make it a lot better, I think, if we speak closely into the phone, in the microphone. And thank you for bringing that up. The only thing I will say is we've got a lot of activities going on in the community, and it's really good and positive to see. You know, I was telling Joey Chenoweth earlier, when you read the local newspaper, if you're from out of town, there's some really nice things that are going on with the opening of the Pinal Gem and Mineral Museum at the Artisan Village of Coolidge. They're talking about the Youth Artisan Days on Fridays for the young kids that are not in school on Friday. You know, we have a lot of great things that are happening in this community. You know, Jim Malinsky, our chief of police, reading to the children in the library. This is just a great community with a lot of real positive things that are going on. In addition to those kind of you know, quality of life things, you know, we have a lot of, you know, some development activity going on as well. You can see the Napa store is well underway, getting ready to pour their slab for the building addition on the old Marty's skating rink. So that should be going vertical here pretty quick, and we'll see that convert into a very nice Napa retail store with landscaping, and it'll be a major improvement. Just a few feet to the south of that and across the street, we have the Pinal Federal Credit Union going into the former Dimitri's, and they pretty well have taken that building down to a box, and now they're starting to renovate it and move it forward. I met with corporate McDonald's and the franchisor of the McDonald's here, and I believe their plan is they delayed it slightly because of some water issues that they were having to deal with, but I believe we're looking at closure of the McDonald's towards the end of the month, around the 28th, with demolition commencing shortly thereafter. I met with the contractors, and they're hoping to get that McDonald's rebuilt, and I think it's a 90-day period, if I remember them saying that correctly. So
they're
hopefully
closing down completely. I didn't realize
tearing
that.
it completely down and then rebuilding it, nearly doubling the size.
Wow.
So that will be a nice addition again to the to Arizona Boulevard. You know, if you go out to the south of us, and we see the economic development and the expansion of the Stinger Bridge and Iron building and their facility on the other side of the Arizona Boulevard, or Highway 87. The commission did review and approve that site plan, and it's coming along quite well. Randolph Road improvements have been completed. We received an Arizona Commerce Authority grant to facilitate that roadway improvement. Stinger Bridge and Iron put in some money. There were other monies that were donated to that project from some of the other owners in that area of the other industries, and so that's a very nice addition. More jobs will be created as a result of that. And I believe they told me the other day that they have about $10 million invested so far on that site. They're on the other side of the where their existing site's located. They should employ somewhere between 20 and 30 more people when they have the certification on their new concrete girder process. And once that the new building is up for their steel girders manufacturing, they'll be employing more people there as well. Bright Industries, you know, continuing to expand, a great industry here in the community. One of our larger employers. If you've gone out there, they've done a lot of improvements on their property in the industrial park, and we're happy to see their success and their expansion. I'm working with the Arizona Commerce Authority, with the Pinal County Economic Development officials and others, trying to attract a Project West, to the newly annexed area south of Coolidge. It'd be an agricultural use, an agricultural activity, and we're very hopeful that we'll be looked at as one of the finalists for that particular project, which would bring in a very sizable investment and potentially up to 270 employees. So it's a very, and that's then they have 4 different sites that they're looking at for the various aspects of that operation. So we're staying very busy. We've got the things that are going on at the airport. The airport is a great economic driver for our community. We did receive a reimbursable grant agreement from the Arizona Department of Transportation. They had provided additional funding, and we're going to be seeing some lighting improvements along runway 1735. They'll all be the LED lighting. We have received an award by the Federal Aviation Administration for a grant to do the design of taxiway Bravo adjacent to the apron. We're going to be making some apron improvements and also doing some seal coating on runway 1735. But the airport is alive and well, and we're seeing some really good improvements out there in addition to some of the other things that I've already mentioned. Code enforcement, staying busy on that. It's very important that we look at our community. If you're a property owner in the community and you're hearing me, stand back at your curb, look at your property, see what you can do to make it look nicer. People want to come here and invest. They look at our schools, they look at the property owners' properties, at how we upkeep our property, and they look at the image. They look at our customer service in our restaurants, and we get these clients that are coming in here thinking about doing business here. All of those things are important, and we never know who's going to be coming in, looking at us, and deciding whether they want to be here or not. So we need everybody's help in the economic development effort. And so with that, I'll entertain any questions that you might have.
I'm good. We all good?
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Call to the public. Is there any comments or concerns or anything? Anyone? All right. So let's adjourn. Can I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.